CA Exam Series. E-Learning. This is Sarah. I am gonna teach you GST classes. Welcome to GST Animation Lectures, innovative and student-friendly. CA Exam Series. Your success begins here. The very basis for the charge of tax in any taxing statute is the taxable event, that is the point on which the levy of tax gets subtracted. As discussed earlier, the taxable event under GST is supply. CGST and SGST UT-GST are levied on all intrastate supplies of goods and/or services, while IGST is levied on all interstate supplies of goods and/or services. Intra-state supply. Where the location of the supplier and the place of supply of goods or services are in the same state, union territory, it is treated as intrastate supply of goods or services respectively. Inter-state supply. Where the location of the supplier and the place of supply of goods or services are in 1. Two different states, or 2. Two different union territories, or 3. A state and a union territory. It is treated as interstate supply of goods or services respectively. Extent and commencement of CGST Act/SGST Act UT-GST Act. Central Goods and Services Tax Act, 2017 extends to the whole of India. State GST law of the respective state, union territory with state legislature, Delhi and Puducherry, extends to whole of that state, union territory. Union Territory Goods and Services Tax Act, 2017 extends to the union territories of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep, Dadra, and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, Chandigarh and other territory, that is the union territories without state legislature, Section 1 of the UT-GST Act. Levy and collection of CGST, Section 9 of the CGST Act. A tax called the Central Goods and Services Tax, CGST, shall be levied on all intrastate supplies of goods or services, or both. The tax shall be collected in such manner as may be prescribed and shall be paid by the taxable person. However, intrastate supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside the purview of CGST. Value for levy, transaction value under Section 15 of the CGST Act. Rates of CGST. Rates for CGST are rates as may be notified by the government on the recommendations of the GST Council. Rates notified are 0%, 0.125%, 1.5%, 2.5%, 6%, 9% and 14%. Maximum rate of CGST will be 20%. CGST on supply of the following items has not been levied immediately. It shall be levied with effect from such date as may be notified by the government on the recommendations of the Council. Petroleum crude, high-speed diesel, motor spirit, commonly known as petrol, natural gas and aviation turbine fuel. Reverse charge. Tax payable by recipient of supply of goods or services, or both. CGST shall be paid by the recipient of goods or services, or both, on reverse charge basis. Electronic commerce operators. As per the FDI guidelines on e-commerce released on March 29, 2016, e-commerce means buying and selling of goods and services including digital products over digital and electronic network. Essentially it has two elements. 1. Digital products. 2. Digital distribution. The different market categories are B2C, B2B, C2C, C2B. The different business models are 1. Inventory model. Inventory maintained by online retailer. Example, Big Basket. 2. Marketplace model. Product directly shipped by seller to customer. Example, eBay. 3. Fulfillment center. Fast-moving goods held on consignment, some products also sold at marketplace by sellers. Example, Amazon, Flipkart. 4. Aggregator. Selling services under its own brand. Service provider continues to be owner of the services provided. Example, Uber, Ola, Oyo Rooms. E-cooperation. Display products as well as services which are actually supplied by some other person to the consumer, on their electronic portal. The consumers buy such goods, services through these portals. On placing the order for a particular product, service, the actual supplier supplies the selected product, service to the consumer. The price, consideration for the product, service is collected by the ICA from the consumer and passed on to the actual supplier after the deduction of commission by the ICA. The government may notify financial year-specific categories of services the tax on intrastate supplies of which shall be paid by the electronic commerce operator, ECO, if such services are supplied through it. Such services shall be notified on the recommendations of the GST Council. It is important to note here that the above provision shall apply only in case of supply of services. 1. If the ICO is located in taxable territory, person liable to pay tax is the ICO. 2. If the ICO does not have physical presence in the taxable territory, person liable to pay tax is the person representing the ICO. 3. If the ICO has neither the physical presence nor any representative in the taxable territory, person liable to pay tax is the person appointed by the ICO for the purpose of paying the tax. GST rates prescribed for various goods. Broadly, 6 rates of CGST have been notified for goods, viz. 0.125%, 1.5%, 2.5%, 6%, 9% and 14%. Some items have been kept at nil rate. Equivalent rate of SGST-UT GST will also be levied. GST rates prescribed for various services. Broadly, 4 rates of CGST have been notified for services, viz. 2.5%, 6%, 9% and 14%. Equivalent rate of SGST-UT GST will also be levied. A new scheme of classification of services has been devised wherein the services of various descriptions have been classified under various sections, headings and groups. Composition Levy, Section 10 of the CGST Act. The objective of composition scheme is to bring simplicity and to reduce the compliance cost for the small taxpayer. Small taxpayers with an aggregate turnover in a preceding financial year up to rupees 75 lakh shall be eligible for composition levy. Suppliers opting for composition levy need not worry about the classification of their goods or services or both, the rate of GST applicable on the same, etc. They are not required to raise any tax invoice, but simply need to issue a bill of supply. Turnover limit for composition levy, Section 10(1). Section 10 of the CGST Act provides the turnover limit of rupees 50 lakh for composition levy. However, proviso to Section 10(1) empowers the government to increase the said limit of rupees 50 lakh up to rupees 1 crore, on the recommendation of the Council. While computing the threshold limit of rupees 75 lakh, inclusions in and exclusions from aggregate turnover are as follows. Includes value of all outward supplies, taxable supplies, exempt supplies, exports, interstate supplies of persons having the same PAN be computed on all India basis. Excludes CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST, cess. Value of inward supplies on which tax is payable under reverse charge. Who can opt for the composition levy scheme? A registered person, whose aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year does not exceed Rs 75 lakh, may opt to pay an amount calculated at the prescribed rates during the current financial year, in lieu of the tax payable by him. Intimation of opting for composition levy. I. Intimation by person applying for registration. 2. Intimation by a registered person. Conditions and restrictions for composition levy. Rule 5. Person opting for composition levy has to comply with the following conditions. He is neither a casual taxable person nor a non-resident taxable person. The goods held in stock by him have not been purchased from an unregistered supplier, and where purchased, he pays the tax under reverse charge under Section 9(4). He shall pay tax under Section 9394, reverse charge, on inward supply of goods or services or both. He was not engaged in the manufacture of goods as notified under Section 10(2)(e), during the preceding financial year. He shall mention the words composition taxable person, not eligible to collect tax on supplies, at the top of the bill of supply issued by him, and he shall mention the words composition taxable person on every notice or signboard displayed at a prominent place at his principal place of business and at every additional place or places of business. Who are not eligible to opt for composition scheme: supplier of services other than supplier of food articles, supplier of goods which are not taxable under the CGST Act, SGST Act UT GST Act, supplier of interstate outward supplies of goods, person supplying goods through an electronic commerce operator, manufacturer of ice cream, pan masala and tobacco. Extent and commencement of IGST, Section 1 of IGST Act. Integrated Goods and Services Tax Act, 2017 extends to the whole of India. IGST is levied on the interstate supply of goods or services or both. Tax called the Integrated Goods and Services Tax, IGST, shall be levied on all interstate supplies of goods or services or both. The tax shall be collected in such manner as may be prescribed and shall be paid by the taxable person. However, interstate supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside the purview of IGST. Value for levy, transaction value under Section 15 of the CGST Act. Rates of IGST. IGST is approximately the sum total of CGST and SGST UT GST. Maximum rate of IGST will be 40%. IGST rate equals CGST rate plus SGST rate, more or less. IGST rates prescribed for various goods. Broadly, 6 rates of IGST have been notified for goods, viz., 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%, 3% and 0.25%. IGST rates prescribed for various services. Broadly, 4 rates of IGST have been notified for services, viz., 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. CGST rates for services have already been discussed in earlier paras. IGST rates for such services can be computed on the basis of the same. We hope this video helped you in gaining knowledge. See you soon with another video. This is Sarah, signing off.